Hello, everyone. My name is Preeti, and welcome to this new episode of Good Steps Conversation. And today we have a guest, Rohit Malhotra, with us. Thank you, Rohit, so much for joining in. So,
Thank you.
most of us have heard about beach cleanups, river cleanups. Some of you might have even joined that. But how many of you have actually heard about mangroves and mangrove cleanups? I hadn't heard about it till a year back before I started interacting with Rohit and went to one of their cleanups done on every Saturday. So, Rohit, I'll start with you. From a career in corporate, in strategy, in sales and marketing, to impact, and finally to mangroves. So, what led you here? By the way, Rohit is the founder of Mangrove Marshals, which does a every Saturday cleanup around the mangroves in that locality with the participation of citizens there. So, Rohit, over to you. What was the trigger? What led to this transition in the journey where you are today? What led to the start of this?
Yeah, so thank you for having me here, Preeti. I think so 2000 till 2008, I was in the corporate career, and then I became an entrepreneur. And the definition of an entrepreneur is, they look for a problem and they try to solve it. Okay, so somehow social problems, environmental problems have always been of interest to me. And for me, being some kind of an activist for many years now, this was something which was actually bothering me. And in Navi Mumbai, where I used to stay earlier, moving around geographies and seeing so much of litter, and that used to bother me. And I used to wonder, why would not somebody come and clean? And, so at the spur of the moment, sometime in 2018, me, my wife, and a few friends just got together and we said, let's start cleaning. Okay. Hopefully, more people will join, and eventually, if, we'll be able to solve for the problem. And, the journey started with that. Obviously, we didn't have, any name to this. It was not even thinking about too many volunteers coming in, just kind of 5, 7 people. And then we suddenly realized that, oh God, the quantum is just too much, and 5, 7 people will not be able to make an impact. And then this went on, and we somehow were able to kind of we managed to somehow keep the momentum going. We not many people joined us initially, but then people started noticing our work because we used to uh, clear out a lot of debris and keep it on the sidelines. And then people started nodding, and occasionally people would say something nice and clap. But somehow people would not join. So because it was not very fashionable, maybe it was very unclean. Actually, that instead of uh, lowering the morale, it actually made me very convinced that this is something we need to do because the others are not interested. Okay, and and that's around the same time, maybe somewhere around the same time frame as Afros had started this, Warsaw beach cleanup. And
Yeah.
that was extremely inspiring. So I used to wonder that, why would a man wake up so early in the morning and do it? And then before I realized I'm one of those people, I'm that man again, and then, this journey continued. And then, the other beach cleanup started around the same time. And Indu Mehta, who's a professor at Wellington's, and my classmate from my MBA days, she started volunteering time there. So that was more the inspiration. So we kind of just started this whole thing. But we didn't have a beach. We had mangroves, okay? And it's a much more complicated ecosystem.
I'll
And
come.
that's
I'll request you to pause there. And for a lot of people, because mangroves is something maybe they would know wetlands or Sundarbans, but Mumbai also has a mangrove. And what does mangrove really mean for anybody? In simple terms, can you uh, share about that first, and then of course we'll talk more on this.
absolutely, absolutely. So mangroves are in many ways the guardians of the shoreline. Correct. So that's the simplest way to put them. They are the guardians of the shoreline. So a lot of people who come to us, talking about it in terms of the impact they create. And the first thing I say is, most Mumbaikars who have been blessed with such a long coastline, invariably have forgotten about the mangrove and the impact thereof. But if you go to, Marine Drive, um, I tell people just look at the pteropods which are lying down there, which are made up of hard concrete. Correct? These are massive structures. It takes big cranes to kind of put them there. Every few years, you have to remove them and replace them because that's how the vicious currents of the ocean destroy them. Now,
Right.
imagine this frail tree called the mangrove lives for decades and somehow is able to break that momentum of the sea. And that's exactly what their bigger contribution is. They stop the massive soil erosion. If you had no mangroves, invariably a lot of part of the city would be inundated with water. The sea would kind of erode all the land and it will kind of walk straight in. So that's that's the big impact. But a lot of people don't also know that two-thirds of all life forms on this planet spawn in the mangrove forests. Imagine two-thirds of all
Wonderful.
life forms. Yeah. So actually speaking, when we walk into a mangrove, we think it's a different universe because it's actually the cradle of life, if I may want to call it that way. Right. So it's a very beautiful ecosystem which has actually lived way, 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 or maybe came up on this planet way before humans did. And now it's struggling because the same human beings, correct? And the way our habits are, how we have actually gone around chopping them, degrading them, and then dumping waste into the ocean, and that's how they are getting very badly impacted, correct? And the other thing which people don't know, before I actually explain you more the reasons why we should be conserving mangroves, the world's largest mangrove forest is in India, which is the
Right.
Sundarbans, correct?
Right.
The third largest mangrove forest in the world is also in India. It's in Chidambaram district, a place
In
called
Tamil
Pichavaram.
Nadu. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pichavaram.
So
Yes.
imagine, yeah, Pichavaram. So imagine, we go overseas. It's so fashionable to go overseas and look up some of these sites when you have them in your backyard. And instead of taking care of them, you're degrading them. And it's not government's responsibility. I would say it's the responsibility of the citizens. And I think we have shamed the planet. We have shamed the community. We don't actually have any standing to say that it's the government's responsibility. So I don't subscribe to that at all. But having,
Okay.
we will talk about that. But again, I'll just explain a couple of reasons why the mangroves are of so criticality. So we spoke about, soil erosion. We talked about it as the cradle of life. But there is a concept, and I think all of us who went to school, we understand this. Humans inhale oxygen, exhale carbon dioxide. Trees inhale carbon dioxide to keep the planet clean. But what do the trees do? They convert this carbon dioxide into carbon, and they sequester the carbon inside the body of the tree, the trunks of the tree. The
right.
capacity of a mangrove is 5 to 7 times more that of a regular tree. So in terms of their impact on life itself is massive. So just for people to understand the quantum, so 45,000 mangroves being chopped is into 7 when you talk about trees. So this is the quantum of impact what we create. So no level of afforestation will actually help you. The impact is on the flora, fauna, life is massive. So the longer
It's
we stay away
it's
from them, the better it is.
yeah. It's massive, and especially in the current time when we all are struggling with the kind of heat stress all around. And when we talk about heat being caused by the excess of carbon and these greenhouse gases, so these are like one of the major sponges which can absorb them. So that's where it becomes very personal for every individual, because now we are seeing the impact of what really heat is doing to us, even if we forget all the bigger things which are there. So, yes, of
Correct.
course,
And the
very
quality
important.
of air, Preeti, the quality of air has degraded. The more the
Right.
mangroves, the quality of air is going to be much better because, as I said, they are soaking up a lot of waste, which in fact they are also soaking up a lot of marine waste which is coming in. So they, and that is also altering the species of the mangroves. So Maharashtra is blessed with about 7 species of mangroves. But wherever
Okay.
degradation has happened or the quality of water is really bad quality, and around Mumbai it's pathetic quality, correct? Because a lot of untreated waste is going into the ocean. An estimate says about 5,000 tons. Just get the number in your mind. 5,000 tons of waste is dumped into the ocean from MMR every year. Imagine that's the impact we are causing. So that is the reason why in the coastal areas of MMR, where the mangroves are there, out of the 7 species, you usually see one or two because these species usually survive very well in toxic environments. But now, in Navi Mumbai, where we do this cleanup, we are also seeing that they are struggling. So imagine the level of toxicity. And that usually is also an indicator of uh, the quality of marine life and a lot of people who are dependent on them and most people who eat that. Okay, so who consume fish, prawns,
Right.
and all those things. Imagine if the level of toxicity in the water, what are you eating? So, it's to our advantage if we keep this ecosystem clean. And we are not going to do anybody a favor. We are not doing ourselves. So mangrove marshes, which is being subsumed by Vraj Foundation, we have created a Vraj Foundation around it so
Okay.
that, we can have a better outreach. Uh, when people come and tell us, they compliment us for the great work we do, we say, no, we're being very selfish about it. We are doing it purely to keep our species alive. So we want to kind of make it sure
It's
that
for
we
our
leave
own
this planet,
survival. It's for
we
our
can
own
keep this planet
survival.
ready. Yeah, we can
Yeah.
keep this planet for our children because the way we are consuming, let me dare say, we are consuming the planet. There may be no planet another few years, and what will you offer your children then? So our whole philosophy is ecosystem conservation through volunteering. So our two handles are, people should volunteer time, and the second one is how do you kind of do this work in terms of ecosystem conservation, ecosystem development, and so on and so forth. And that has many handles. And as we go along, I'll speak about that as well. Yeah.
So, Rohit, I'll step back on the mangrove and cleanliness, the cleaning drives, which you all have been doing. So, when you go basically undertake these cleaning initiatives, which takes place every week, what do you normally see getting generated the most? Like, if we actually talk about what's really coming there in terms of the kind of waste, in terms of the quantum of waste, so can you give us some insights of what you have seen like over the period since which this thing is happening? To get a
Yes.
sense of, because when we are saying individuals have responsibility, people have responsibility, and things have gone out of our houses and somehow it has landed there. Of course, there is a bit of littering also, which might have happened due to which it has accumulated there. So, because this waste is not generated normally from the areas near the mangrove, but it has got carried from multiple different places out there. So, one, what typically are the major items in a broader category which you see there? What typically are the volumes which you see there? If you can tell us. Yeah.
Yeah. So just for you to get a quantum of what we've been, so about 236, 37, I usually miss those numbers of weeks of cleanup, what we have done till now. 420 truckloads of debris we would have removed, all the waste which would have come from the oceans, about 420 trucks we have removed.
Wow.
Most of it is plastic. Okay? A lot of that is single-use plastic. I think that's been an utter failure on the part of the citizens and the government, equally responsible. That in spite of the ban, that quantum is humongous. That has not changed. Okay, that is actually killing the mangroves, is killing the ecosystem. Correct. So that has to go. The other waste what we get regularly is a lot of cloth. A lot of people don't understand this. I didn't know this, so I've also learned, being a circularity and impact professional now, that that textile fabric cloth is the second largest polluter on the planet after plastic. And these are plastic for that matter, single-use plastic, very thin gauge, actually has no material value per se, but most other plastic cloth has actually material value. We have not been able to use. So waste management actually should be thought of like as resource management. The day we start thinking like that, things will start really, really improving. Okay. Anyways, so we get this, we get diapers, we get sand pads because They look like cloth, but they are basically polypropylene. It's woven clothing made up of polypropylene. They will stay on the planet till perpetuity, and they don't degrade very, very quickly. We get a lot of electronic waste, tubes and stuff like that. We get a lot of footwear. Footwear has suddenly become very affordable, very accessible. So a lot of footwear. We get a lot of footwear. What else do we get? We get a lot of bags. Those gonies you have, those big, storage bags on the
Right.
cement bag. We get a lot of them. Okay. We also occasionally get something very strange. So we have removed washing machines, we've removed refrigerators, we've removed, beddings, and so many other things. We get a lot of nirmale during various kinds of seasons because uh, people do ritualistic exercises and then they kind of put it in the ocean. Um, During Ganpati, the saddest thing is we see a lot of these idols kind of flow back. Um, so if you come to Navi Mumbai, if you come to our cleanup, I'll show you a mountain of these statues and these um, frames and religious discards, if I may want to call them. It's very difficult for us to kind of even put it in the junk. So we keep it separately because even the Navi Mumbai Municipal Corporation, which actually takes our waste for further
Cleanup
treatment.
or treatment
Yeah,
included.
this
Yeah.
treatment, yeah. So they will also refuse to take it. So the thing basically is we have to find a way around that as well. Uh, so all kinds of ways, and also tell you success stories, what we used to see earlier and what we don't get as much now.
Yes, yes, absolutely. That will be very interesting.
So pet bottles, this because they've been able to put a supply chain around it to collect it, to convert that, to clean it. It goes to a recycler. They kind of figure out because at the end of the day, because of the EPR, there's a massive demand for the pet bottles. Correct. Um, so we rarely get PET bottles. So I did some research. More than 90% of PET bottles are getting recycled, which is massive.
Right,
Which is
right,
massive. Given just for people to understand, the context is the other plastic. The recycling rates are lower than 5%. Here it's
right.
90%. There is no reason that can't happen. So there's an empirical model that it is happening. Paper recycling rates are less than 30%, but PET recycling rates are as high as 90%, 88%, 90%, something like that. Okay. Um, Thermocol has reduced quite a bit. We used to get a lot of thermocol. That's reduced. So to that extent, I think some good things have happened. People have found alternatives, in terms of packaging. I noticed because at home also when we get, we order products from various websites, we've started noticing there's some behavioral change. I'll have a call out for an organization like Amazon where most of their packaging is now paper packaging. Even the tape is paper. There's an effort happening, and I think more organizations have to learn from that and kind of incorporate that into their, behavioral pattern. But again, these are big success stories. So, to that extent, the same. So that means more people are consuming more and dumping that stuff irresponsibly. And you're right. Most of the waste what we collect is not from Navi Mumbai because moment you put it in the ocean, and Navi Mumbai falls on the Thana Creek. You put it in anywhere in the Thana Creek or beyond, there is a possibility it might actually flow in here. And what is also happening is, we also know for that matter, there are other municipal corporations which are not as effective as NMMC in terms of, waste collection from source and all. And that obviously is an indicator of some of that getting disposed of very, very irresponsibly to save some money, so.
Interesting. So, Rohit, I know these are challenges, but at the same time, we want to leave the audiences here with hope in terms of action. So a lot of them will appreciate that, yes, it is a problem, but what all things can I do? Of course, for the people in Navi Mumbai, you all can please go to the cleanup exercise on the Saturday, 8 to
No,
9:30.
Sunday
Is it?
now.
It's Sunday.
Sundays now. Sundays now
And
between 8 and 9:30 at Sagar Vihar. We are always there. So monsoons, we take a break for about 3 months because the whole ecosystem becomes alive and we don't want to kind of, uh, affect like various kinds of life forms which are in the and plus sometimes the safety of the volunteers might be a bit of a question. So we avoid that. But otherwise, through the year we are there. Sundays 8 to 9:30. Please do join.
But for the others also who maybe cannot go to that place, what two things uh, you think would be really impactful so that because the ultimate objective is the waste which comes there, it gets reduced over the period. So
Yeah.
based on your experience, based on what you speak in the ecosystem, two simple things which individuals like me, you, our friends, our neighbors can everybody start doing, two impactful things.
So very simple. See, we've been a very small, cog in the wheel to enable Navi Mumbai Municipal Corporation to feature in the top three in terms of Swachh Bharat rankings. And what has happened in the city, is that because of this huge awareness about waste and courtesy various commissioners who have come in and the momentum we built around that, is that waste segregation at a household level is happening. And it's actually
Right.
happening very, very effectively, correct? Not at the same, level as what Indore has been able to achieve, where it's become a people's movement. So everybody in the city is a volunteer now,
Right.
which is mind-blowing. I hope other cities get to that stage. In terms of their mindset, when you believe that it's your city and the whole ecosystem is your ownership, then you start behaving like that. So if you start segregating waste as dry waste and wet waste, you've taken care of 90% of the problem. Littering is a
Absolutely.
second problem. Jidhar khaya udhar phek diya. No, I think that's unacceptable. The same set of people who litter are the same ones when they go to overseas, when they go to Dubai and they go to Singapore, and they will tom about the cleanliness. वो सब वहां पे करोगे तो आपको डंडा होता है, आपको यहाँ पे डंडा नहीं होता इसका मतलब नहीं करना है, घर है आपका, मतलब at the end of the day, you don't dirty your own house यार, मतलब आप घर में तो नहीं डालते ना, आप घर में रैंडमली डालोगे तो वहां पे भी प्रॉब्लम होगा ना घर में आपको, तो इधर क्यों डालते हो? So littering is a second problem. So if you stop littering and you start, doing segregation of
Segregating.
waste, that is 90% of the problem. And the third thing which I want to urge through you, Preeti, is that people should selflessly make about an hour every week for any volunteering act.
Right.
अरे यार अपनी सड़क पे चले जाओ, मत आओ मैंग्रोव मार्शल, दूर पड़ता है, आप बसई विरार में रहते हो, आप बैंड्रा में रहते हो, आप खार में रहते हो, साउथ बॉम्बे में रहते हो, मत आओ, मतलब आई विल नॉट इवन encourage you to come because the carbon footprint you leave
That
behind in terms of
travel,
coming to
yeah.
Vashi,
Yeah.
I will not be happy. Once or twice if you can come, it's fine. Otherwise, you would be very happy if you do plogging on your street. Yeah. मतलब अपने don't wait for the safai karmcharis. Have some sympathy on them. Like Navi Mumbai, we are 18 and a half lakh people, now increasing. 3,500 सफाई कर्मचारी, do the math यार, वो सारी जिंदगी भी साफ करेगा तो नहीं होगा. It's an equation which is doomed for failure because you are littering and he's cleaning. The day you
Right.
stop littering and you start contribution to the cleanup, you will have an ecosystem which is amazingly clean. And do it for your selfish interest because of you wanting a clean ecosystem. So, why don't you want people to come from outside and praise your city for cleanup? And why is it that you have to always make that compliment about other cities? Correct. So, uh, let's
Absolutely.
let's let's be हाँ, let's set an example. And बहुत मुश्किल नहीं है यार, बहुत मुश्किल नहीं.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Rohit, for joining in. I'm sure what has been discussed about mangroves, cleanliness, as well as what we can do, and the things which are there where we can also make an impact with our by voting with our wallet, the things which really can have a proper circular way of getting to the right place after it has been used. So that really should give some food for thought for those who are yet to start their journey. And of course, those of you are already on this path. So continue doing that. And thank you again, Rohit, and all the best for the initiative you're driving there. And hopefully, more and more people start doing it at their local levels. So I think that 1 hour of weekly volunteering is very powerful for me. Is one thing which we all can do during the weekend, during the weekday, whichever day works for each of us as per our schedule, and start making time for the things around us which impacts us directly. Thank you so
So thank you
much.
so much. Thank you so much, Preeti. But I will add one last bit before I end this. There's a general misconception we have that education brings in civic sense. There is no empirical evidence to that. There is no empirical evidence to that. Otherwise, all cities in Kerala would have ranked in the top 10, correct? None of their cities rank in the top 50. I think the topmost city is Kochi at 50. Correct. One is that. Second thing is my brief trip about a couple of years to this small nation called Rwanda was an eye opener. Their per capita income is one-fourth us. Their education levels are pits. It's cleaner than Singapore. The city of Kigali, which is the capital, is cleaner than Singapore because people take full ownership. It's not driven by you don't see Swachhta Karamcharis on the road because they take pride in cleaning their city. Everyone does. So we have to learn from other people, how, they feel for their nation. So anyways, thank you so much for having me, Preeti. It was a lovely conversation. I look forward to many more conversations with you in the future. Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely, Rohit. We'll connect again, and I think a deep down into the mangrove and the species and what they do. So, yes, we wanted to keep it short and brief so that both the aspects come together for the people, and we can start the journey together on that part. So, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.